Hi, everyone. My name is Sean Adams, the Pragmatic Pastor. I want to say thank you all for signing up for this great course. It's awesome to see people invest in themselves, and there aren't many other great investments out there, and you definitely signed up for one of the best. Today's session, we're going to be talking about building productive teams. Let me take you through our agenda really quickly. I want to get some introductions out of the way, and then we're going to talk about building your team from scratch, discuss the importance of passion, the strategy of catch and release, and big picture leadership styles. And then we're going to talk about increasing the productivity of an existing team. Some people don't have a team, and then some people do have teams already. And so what we want to do is we want to take both of those needs, and we want to answer both of those needs in this class today. And in this session, you're going to get some great tools no matter where you are in your team building. We're going to talk about the what, the why, and the when as far as increasing productivity. And then we're going to talk about to the victor go the spoils and discuss reward and punishment. And then we'll get into next steps and how to really kind of take an action plan, a call to action of what we've done today. So that's a high level overview. Let me tell you a bit about myself. My name is Sean Adams. I am a bivocational pastor, meaning I pastor a small church here in Denver, Colorado called Epiphany Covenant Church. We're seeing God do some great things, and I'm definitely blessed and honored to be the pastor to a great group of people. Also, career-wise, I am a certified product manager. I have over 8 years specialized experience, typically in online environments, very technical in nature. I've had experience all the way from state agencies to not-for-profits on up to a couple of Fortune 500 companies. I've been very blessed. But what I have a passion for is to help people take their dreams and make them into reality. That is, I'm talking to business leaders, I'm talking to visionaries, I'm talking to people who are aspiring to the C-suite, and I'm providing strategy insights, marketing insights, whether the business is small, whether it's a ministry, whether it's a regular not-for-profit. I want to help them. In order to do this, I feel like that you have to have a bit of training. Some of it is common sense, and then a lot of it comes down to training. I have a BS in psychology and a master's in business administration from Liberty University of Virginia. I'm also a certified product manager, certified pragmatic marketing, as well as some Scrum product owner training. So all that to say, I'm well qualified to help anyone, take an idea and turn it into reality. And then, if they've already begun that process, help them take it to the next level. And that's what I love to do. That's my passion. So I guess you can call me trivocational because I love to bless people as a pastor. I work diligently as a product manager for the companies I work with. And obviously, I do this work on the side in which I provide strategy and market insights to small businesses and not-for-profits. That's enough about me. Let's talk about building productive teams. Here is our mantra for the hour, our motto, our rally cry, okay? Passionate, empowering leadership builds great teams. I'm going to say it again, and I'll be saying it a lot throughout this course because this is the foundation of the course. Passionate, empowering leadership builds great teams. If I could put it in a bottle and drink it and serve it to 1 million leaders, I would. Okay? This statement is key and critical for building a team from scratch, for increasing the productivity of an existing team, even for getting an organization back on track to accomplishing its goals. Again, passionate, empowering leadership builds great teams. All right? So let's break that down. What does that mean on a team level? What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a video. The video is from the Sasquatch Music Festival in 2009. If you are familiar with TED Talks, Derek Sivers did a very, very great TED Talk on this. Got over 4 million odd views. It's only 3 minutes long, and it's on how to start a movement. He did this TED Talk back in 2010, and it's absolutely wonderful. This is a fascinating video. It's only about 3 minutes long, so I'm gonna let that play, and then I'm gonna get back to you.
unstoppable. I got to be unstoppable. I got to be unstoppable.
That's right. I got to be unstoppable. That's right. I believe you guys.
All right. Great video, great little example of how one guy can start an entire movement. You saw how he began to dance and he was just super passionate about what he was doing. And then someone else came along, and then a third person to add to the legitimacy of what was going on. And then more and more and more and more, which takes us to our next slide. Passion is attractive. I once watched a friend of mine. He's a great, great man of God, Reverend Brian Dale. I watched this brother preach on the corner of a busy intersection, and people began to pull their cars over. People would beep their horns. Some people would get mad and curse and yell. It was fascinating to see. And I was out there helping. I was running around from corner to corner, passing out gospel tracts while this brother was preaching the gospel on the corner. Afterward, we both were about to head our separate ways. And he asked me, he says, Pastor, he says, why do you think all those people were stopping? And I told him, I said, it's because people like to see things burn. If I had time to show you another video, I would. There's a video of an explosion at a hay factory or something of that nature in Texas. A father with his daughter, and probably his wife was with him, pulled over on the side of the road to watch this place burn. As it burned, a fire exploded, a huge explosion caught on where they were. The daughter got scared and frightened and was begging to please leave. Passion is attractive because passion is watching something burn. Now, if you're passionate, you're attracting others to you now. Why aren't those people on your team? Why aren't they, as they're attracted to your passion, as you're burning toward passionately for your goals, why aren't they contributing and being productive team members? Let's talk about some of the blockages, and then we'll talk about some of the ways to circumvent those blockages that are stopping you from having a productive team. One thing you want to do is you want to have an environment that facilitates completion of the goal in mind. What does that mean? Take a picture. Let's take a look at this picture here. This is the polar plunge. It happens every year on January 1st here in Colorado. A bunch of people get together and go to a frozen lake and get in the water. They get in the water at the frozen lake. Now, if the idea was to have them go out there and dance, they may not be as inclined to dance because the environment doesn't facilitate completion of that goal. But even something as asinine as jumping in the frozen lake requires frozen water around. What is the goal you're trying to accomplish with your team, and how have you set up your environment, whether it be risk, reward, punishment, skill building, challenges? How have you set up your environment to facilitate completion of that goal? Let me remind you very quickly that environments aren't just natural, they're created. You create environments. You are responsible for atmospheres, especially around your team. The environment, the atmosphere must be conducive to completing the goal you have in mind. Okay? You can do this. You can set up environments. You can make them action-oriented. You can draw out the best in people. You can remove the stigma of the leader coming down hard on people. It's about the leader facilitating that environment, changing that atmosphere, and making it somewhere where we can accomplish our goals as team members. Okay? Now, about passion, passion's going to draw people. You have an environment set up and you're passionately burning, you're on fire, they're watching you burn. But you can't just burn wildly, because things that burn wildly, not only do they burn out quickly, but they put others in danger. If you want to passionately pursue your goal, you must do it in adherence with some form of logic. You can be wide-eyed and passionate, but you can't be doped out on passion. You can't take a shot of a passion in the arm like adrenaline and just think you're going to accomplish everything. You know, you're like, me and my son just watched the Ninja Turtles just recently. It came on, we had it on demand, and the turtles had to bust out of this cage. And in order to bust out the cage, Donatello told April to shove him full of adrenaline. So she's pushing the adrenaline button, and they're just getting filled with adrenaline to a dangerous level. They get so hyped up, they break out of the glass, and all of a sudden, it's like their eyes were wide, and they say, I want to clean something. We can do it. We can do everything. That is exactly what kind of passion most leaders think about when they think about passion. That is the kind of doped out, unattractive, not attractive, all-consuming, fearful type of passion. When I see leaders extremely passionate, so passionate that they hurt those around them, there's a problem. That is not great leadership. Let me give you an example of great leadership. John Shatner from Papa John's Pizza. Started Papa John's Pizza back in 1984. Decided he was going to be opening many stores. Was very passionate about pizza. If you look at articles on John Shatner, anyone will tell you this guy is passionate about pizza. He eats it, he lives it, he breathes it. He wants to be the fastest growing chain restaurant in the world, and it has shown in his leadership qualities. It has shown in how he motivates those around him, on how he attracts those around him. He attracts bankers, he attracts donors, he attracts investors. He attracts people around him. And that pizza, even it was a great pizza, but it doesn't matter how good it is to the degree that John Shatner has great passion and uses it well. Papa John's was started with $1,600. $1,600. Now it's worth $1.439 billion. He just opened franchises in Mexico, Australia, China, some of those BRIC cities, some of those growth-centric nations. $1.439 billion pizza. Don't tell me whatever your passion is not one that makes money. Every passion can attract quality people, quality investors, quality bankers, quality team members, and it can produce. It can produce finances, it can produce investors, it can produce all kinds of things. Passion is attractive. Passion is attractive. Passionate, empowering leadership builds great teams. So you attract these people to you with your passion. What do you do then? I believe in the catch and release, not with fishing. When I catch a fish, I'm going to keep it. But you definitely want to practice catch and release with people. We want to, as leaders, begin to delegate with intent to release. As you begin, we're building a team from scratch in this conversation. As your passion attracts people, you want to bring them in, build them up, and let them do the job that you need them to do. delegate with the intent to release the task to them, you're creating a new leader. When you bring in someone, when they finally catch on, when they watch you burn and they want to burn with you, tell them what you need them to do. Give them the task. Give them the role. Let them watch you and then let them go. If you have other people around you who are in a team, but they only want to watch you and they don't want to grow with you, that's a crowd mentality. Okay? I don't know what kind of team you're running, but I don't think you want a team that doesn't do anything. No one wants a team that doesn't do anything. Okay, you're not gathering fans. You're gathering growth. Okay, you're gathering pursuers and growers of your passionate goal. Remember back to the video and building a team from scratch and how the guy was dancing by himself? That's just some dude doped out on passion. You know, he's just really, really passionate. But he understood he needed to endorse whoever came up to dance with him. When someone came up to dance with him, he didn't tell him, hey, this is my thing. Go over there and dance. He endorsed them. He high-fived them. He clapped them. He hugged them. He said, yeah, man, let's dance together. And then he let them dance. And as people began to gather, the people weren't gathering to be around the leader. They were gathering to be around the passionate goal, to be around accomplishing the passionate goal. Whatever goal you're so passionate about, if they see you accomplishing it, because that's what enthralls people, is to see people doing something with themselves. When they're enthralled with you and they can do what you do, you can't stop them from helping you. You can't stop them from producing. You don't want to bring people around you to just watch you. Being watched kind of makes you an oddball. That guy who was dancing alone was kind of an oddball. But not when he empowered those who came among him. Not when he was willing to say, yeah, it's not about me, it's about the dance, it's about the music, it's about enjoying what's happening right now. Catch and release. When we gather things and hold them to pull out all the value, that works well in stocks. You know, the buy and hold strategy in stocks, you just buy over time and you hold. You don't sell it unless you absolutely need to, or you sell it at the opportune time later on down the road. That works with stocks. That works with stocks and bonds and, you know, all types of maturing equity stakes. It doesn't work with people. Catch and release is about gaining people and releasing them after you've built value in them. So there are only two ways. This is not only just we attracted people, but there are two ways you need to look at how you're going to integrate people into your team, especially if you're building it from scratch. There are only two ways to do it. One is by building what you want. And two is by buying what you want. I'll say that again. When you're building a team from scratch and your passion has attracted others to you, and it's time for you to catch and release, it's time for you to delegate with intention to release, you only have two strategies in mind. One is to build what you want or buy what you want. If you want high quality leaders, high quality growth team members, you either have to build them or you have to buy them. You have two strategies: a high cash, low investment, or a high investment, low cash. And what that means, that's a business term, but what that means basically is, if I want a great product manager for my products, I can either take someone at the help desk and mentor them into the position of a product management after they pass through a couple of trials and I see they have the business acumen, and I work with them and help them learn how to make business type decisions and tell them what kind of classes to take in school, and they actually do it and they express a desire to grow in that role, and I bring them in and I literally build him better than I bought him as an employee, as a stakeholder, as a team member. I build him better than I bought him, right? Because when I got him, he was just the guy at the service desk. But now, he's ready to he's ready to run his own line of business. And that means that I've invested high quality time in him. I've mentored him, and I've given him opportunities to take ownership. That's what that delegation for release is. If you simply are delegating tasks and your team isn't really taking on ownership, they don't want to be there. They don't want to be your helper monkey. No one wants to be a helper monkey. When you delegate with intent to release, you are giving people ownership of what you used to own. And when you do it, you only have two ways to get quality out of those people, and that is either to continuously invest in them or to save up your equity, save up your money, and say, I don't have the time to take someone from the service desk and build them up in a product management. I'm just going to have to, go out and get $100,000 and get somebody who just, who's proven themselves with another business line and lure them away from the job they're in. Okay? Most people are trying to take team members from other people's teams and saying, you know what, you're doing really good over there at that church. Come over to my church and do that. Where's the loyalty in that? Where's the prayer? How is that decision even made? If you're building a team from scratch and you only have these two strategies, I would encourage you to build what you want. To let that process and that person evolve. As they evolve into their role, they're able to make that role more powerful than you even thought about. So, you've built your team from scratch. You're extremely passionate. You're passionate plus a clear objective in mind. You're not just doped up on adrenaline and passion. Okay, you're delegating with the intent to release. You're bringing people in, most likely building what you want, and not trying to buy what you want through promises and rewards and things of that nature. Now we look at a leadership style that makes people want to stay. Big picture leadership. If you look at the picture to the left, this is my son. Look at that attractive fellow. Isn't that great? God has blessed me. My son and I were working on this, a Marvel Avengers puzzle. It had Hulk and Iron Man and Thor. And me and my son, I can put puzzles together, and you can see this isn't like some huge complicated 1,000-piece puzzle. But it was so frustrating. I was like, oh my goodness, why can't we put this together? Okay, which way does this go and where does that go? Shun, my son, had seen the box, but he had torn it up. He tore up the box and said, I used it for a different project, so the box is gone. I say, well, how do we know what to build? I don't know. He says, I remember what it was. It had Iron Man on it. I'm like, okay, what else? I don't know. I'm like, oh my goodness. So we're sitting here trying to place puzzles together on a floor, not really understanding what we were headed for. Didn't know what went up or down. Didn't know what color belonged to what picture. It was frustrating. And you can't tell from this picture, but the puzzle is a holograph. So when you lift it up and turn it, it changes its image. It made it even harder to tell what pieces went to what. We couldn't just fit pieces together. We required a picture. Now, if you look over to the left of this picture, lower mid left, you see a couple of red circles. That itty bitty picture is a piece he found that he had cut off of his box before he tossed it in the trash, before he recycled it and used it to make some, army man or something. He picked that picture up and he says, Dad, I found the picture. We can build a puzzle now. I said, great. And I told him, this is what I told him that night. I said, son, this is leadership. He says, what? He's 8. No, he's 7. 7 or 8. But he's old enough for me to start putting in him the ideal of leadership. Son, this little picture is leadership. Because of Iron Man, Dad? No, not because of Iron Man. Because now we know what to do. When you lead people, you need to have an idea in mind of what you want the outcome to be. You need to understand where the pieces should be. Now, I know I call this slide big picture leadership, but as you can tell, the puzzle's bigger than the picture. And that's important. the puzzle will always be bigger than the picture, because the picture typically exists in the leader's mind. It's a vision. It is your job as a leader to have a vision and then build effective teams around it. When you can understand where the pieces should be, then you'll be an effective leader and you'll create productive teams. This is big picture leadership at its finest. I can't put the puzzle together effectively without an idea in mind of where things should fall. To that point, these puzzles have pieces that are designed to go together. While it may have been confusing for me without a picture, the person who made this puzzle made it in a way in which the pieces which were supposed to fit could fit, and the pieces that were not would not. That's called infrastructure. As a leader, the infrastructure of your team should do half of the work for you. Let me give you an example, and we'll get to this more when we start talking about org charts and the imaginary org chart that we're going to get to when we talk about making your team as effective as it possibly can be. So we'll get there more, but I just want to touch on this very briefly. Letting the infrastructure do half the work for you means you're designing an organization around facilitating your goals. Just like you created that environment that facilitates completion of your goal in mind, your infrastructure, that means the way you plan for the pieces to come together are conducive to completion of the goal in mind. That's big picture leadership. Okay? Now, what's our motto, our mantra, our motto, our rally cry? Passionate, empowering leadership builds great teams. Even an unproductive team can now be productive. Let me tell you, no team loses consistently on accident. Now, I'm a sports guy. Okay, I understand that no one wants to be a fan of a losing team. I'm an SEC guy. I'm an Auburn fan. Don't even get me started on the Auburn-Alabama thing. Just understand that I believe no team loses consistently on accident. Okay? This is an example. This player here, 30, is Kurtz. He's a Florida player. Florida was playing Florida State SEC basketball. And Kurtz was trying to catch a rebound. It was in the last few seconds of the game. As you can see, the clock up there is .08. It was in the last few seconds of the game. Florida State was probably going to lose. They were going to lose. They were tied up, but they would have won in overtime again. But they were probably going to lose. And Kurtz was trying to rebound the ball. He jumps up to rebound the ball and knocks it in. Kurtz the klutz. His team was far more gracious than the fans were. But that was a clear accident. You see, sometimes when your team's pushing and driving, they miss accidentally. And sometimes when you have a consistently unproductive team, they're really shooting in the wrong basket. So as a leader, what we have to do is we have to clarify the what, the why, and the when of a role within the team. So every team, especially your teams, we're talking about people who already have their teams in place. Okay? You already have your teams in place. What is the what, the why, and the when of a role? So every team member should have a different role. Okay? You got one guy who sends out the mail, one lady who makes phone calls and sells. Everybody has their own thing that they need to be doing. Okay? So you want to clarify what people should be doing. Who are you in the organization? Who are you in the team? And then you want to help them understand why they're doing it. The why behind their role. One of the things that I find that motivates people more than anything else is a great why. It helps with intrinsic motivation, that internal motivation that keeps you going. if I know the why behind my job around that, it's not just, return on investment work or helping this next deliverable get out the door. If I know the why, like we're doing this to help people get off the street. I'm not just writing code as a developer. I'm writing code for a product that saves lives in the emergency room. Okay? That end user why that sometimes get beyond people, the why of the customer, not just the task. Clarify what the person does and then clarify why they do it. And if you can give them a why beyond a dollar sign, you can provide real motivation to a team that has been on a consistent streak of unproductivity. The what, the why, and lastly, the when. The when is you telling the person in the role, what they need to be doing. Not just what they do, but what is it you do. If you do this one thing every day, you will have done your job successfully. And I was listening to North Point's pastor, Andy Stanley. And Andy Stanley was talking about one of the things they did around clarifying the when. And one of the things they did, one of the exercises they do is that they take a job description and they write out a 1-sentence job description. Only 1 sentence. If you in your role do this one thing, then you hit it out the park. One of the examples I remember is that for the worship leader or the worship team coordinator, you create a powerful, moving, and memorable experience every Sunday. That's their 1-sentence job description. If they do that, they hit it out the park. Everyone wants to hit it out the park, guys. Your team doesn't want to miss. Your team wants to please you. Your team wants to win. But if they don't know what that win is, they'll fail. And worse than that, let me tell you something. Teams win all the time. They just win in a way that doesn't align itself to what you were thinking they would do. What's your vision? What's your goal? What were you passionate about when you started this team? And now the team is headed off in their own directions because as the leader, you haven't clarified the what, the why, and the when. They think they're hitting out the park. I promise you, your team thinks that they're delivering on target, on task. They think they're doing the best they can with what they have. But passionate, empowering leadership builds great teams. That empowering leadership is one that will clarify the what, the why, and the when, and will help them. It empowers people to know what the when is so that they can strive for it. They want to strive for it. They want to win. In that vein, we have to think about rewards and punishment. I like to call it the carrot and the stick. We get in this age where we put a carrot in front of someone and a carrot in front of a donkey, and they move along trying to get the carrot, and after a while they don't want the carrot anymore, and then you have to hit them with the stick. So it's reward and it's punishment. Reward and punishment can motivate, but it stalls out. Look at this guy on the left. This is really cool. It says it really works, guys. Isn't that interesting? It's true. It does really work. Carrot on a stick will make a donkey want to go after the carrot because the donkey's hungry. After a while, he realizes he's not getting the carrot. You have to hit him with the stick. Okay? It stalls out. And then they don't care about getting hit with the stick after a while because they become callous toward it. You can't hit me enough to make me want to go now. I just don't want to go. Okay? That's the way humans are too. You can lure us for so long. You can lure your team for so long with rewards. And then after a while, you have to punish them if they start doing wrong. And then beyond that, they don't really want to be on your team anymore. It all stalls out. That method is old, and there's a reason most teams, effective teams, don't use it anymore. Take a look at the right side now. Environments motivate on a much better and consistent basis than the reward and punishment model. Reward and punishment are very effective, but they should be used in conjunction with great environments that you've constructed. You haven't allowed these environments to form on their own. They require you to take some time and decide, what is the win for this environment? How can I make it better for my team members? Okay. We talked about environments before around making them conducive to facilitating whatever your goal in mind is. Well, now let me tell you about how to make sure the environment of the team can work to keep team enjoyment levels very high, beyond reward and punishment. Okay, so here we go. Skills and challenge. Skills and challenge. Very, very important. If you notice, I hope this is big enough for you to see. If it isn't, please let us know. We can get this picture, this graphic, pretty much anything we went over. We can put this in your hand, and we want to do that for you. Okay, so enjoyment is this middle triangle up at the top. This is a perfect balance between skill and challenge, and this is what football coaches and team coaches use to keep players motivated with intrinsic motivation, meaning that internal motivation that they can't provide. You can't take motivation and stick it in someone's arm and make them passionate about something necessarily. Instead, you can create an environment that helps them increase that motivation that's inside of them, that helps that thing churn and churn away. Okay. So when a player is both challenged and encouraged to use skill, okay, then they get great enjoyment. It's the result of a balance between skill and challenge. If a person's too challenged, and no matter how much skill they have, they can't seem to win, okay, it creates anxiety. And when a person is when a task is completely dependent upon skill and there's no challenge, the person tends to be bored. An environment that's conducive for a great team to be very productive not only has rewards and punishment, but it allows them to use their skills in a way that motivate them, that challenge them, but not so challenging that they are bogged down with anxiety, and not so much used on skill that they don't feel like they're accomplishing anything and they get bored. Office workers tend to have this hit them very hard. People get in the office and they have kind of a mundane task and they don't feel like they're contributing. It's not really that they're not contributing. Obviously, the role contributes to whatever the job, have them do. If they need to plug in numbers in a database all day, they do plug in numbers in a database. Everyone's happy that they've plugged in the numbers to the database. It's not that they're not adding. What it is that they're not challenged. They're not challenged. They don't feel needed. They don't feel like they've overcome. So what do you do? Okay. No team wants to lose. If you clarify the what, the why, and the when of the role, the team is going to know what they need to do. They're going to know why they need to do it, and they're going to hit it out the park. They'll start producing for you. Okay. And then your job as a leader not only is to make sure this environment stays in balance and that they remaining challenged and able to use skill, but that you have rewards and that you have punishments. Now, punishment is really more like a term for lack of reward, okay? Hopefully, you're not in a team structure that allows you to hit your team members with a stick. I'm sure many leaders out there want to hit their team members with a stick. That's another session for another day, and I'm sure somebody will be happy to help you with that, okay? But what do we do with our rewards? How do we help our team members overcome with our rewards? I'll tell you. You reward the win and only the win. No more rewarding people who didn't hit it out the park. Withhold that reward until they hit it out the park, and then you can congratulate them. Now, that's going to bother a number of people when I say that, because many of you leaders know the type of team members you have, and the type of team members you have may be those generation, I don't know, X, Yers, millennials, whatever they call themselves, where they're the trophy kids, where they got a trophy just for participating. Okay, that isn't the kind of team you need to be building. You need to build a team that hits it out the park, so you only reward those who hit it out the park. Doesn't make you a bad leader. It makes you a wise leader. A wise leader withholds rewards until the team hits it out the park. Until your player hits it out the park. Carrot and stick should be used in conjunction with environments. Let's talk about the organization then. I spoke briefly about the role. We have to clarify the what, the why, and the when of the role within the team. This is where your org charts come in at. This is a picture of my son. He created he got into Angry Birds Transformers. Angry Bird Transformers. He loves the things. I can't keep his mind off of it. He loves it, right? So he decides, since they didn't make toys for Angry Birds Transformers, he would make one himself. He's extremely inventive, very innovative, and he's so smart, guys. I know every parent says that. Every parent says that, but I'm telling you, the kid is smart. And he built this thing with his hands. He took a bunch of pieces of paper and cardboard and tape. He builds it and then he gives it to me as a gift. He says, "Here, Dad, this is for you." I said, "Thank you." He says, "Now I'm going to take it back and play with it, but it's yours." So now it doesn't look like Redbird Optimus Prime. Okay, it looks like it, but it's not it. You have to leave some things to the imagination. And in the same way, if you're going to play with this, cardboard and paper and tape kind of thing that my son made, you have to use your imagination. You have to use your imagination when it comes to your org charts, especially with your teams. And I'm telling you why. I'm going to tell you why. In the first part of the course, in the first part of the session, we talked about building your teams from scratch and how sometimes you would have to build what you want versus buy what you want. Okay, so if you're building what you want on a consistent basis, that means that you don't have every member of the team that you need. So here's what you do. You create an org chart. An org chart is just, I'll send you a picture if you don't have it, but it's just, imagine a little bubble at the top and then a line down, a little bubble here, head of department, then supervisor and lead and, so on and so forth, down to worker bees. So you look at the organization and you say to yourself, here's what we need in order to run effectively, to run this team effectively. And then if you have people, you begin to put their names in those bubbles. Now, you can have 6 people and 1,400 bubbles. And every bubble gets a name. There's overlap sometimes, and that's okay. But the idea here is, let's make sure that this organization, this chart that we're creating, this organization is structured in a way that will help us meet our business need. Help us meet our end goal. Help us create the vision. Who do I really need to make this vision work? I need a marketing guy. Okay. I need a customer service guy. I need, this role and that role. And as you begin to plug those things out, sometimes you have to put your name in almost every bubble. And that's okay, team leader. Because guess what you're going to do? You're going to work your butt off. You're going to burn with passion. You're going to attract people to you. And then you're going to find out what they do well. You're going to plug into that what they do well. You're going to endorse them in what they do well. And then you're going to delegate one of those bubbles and you're going to release it. You're going to say, hey, you've seen me do this with excellence. Now you do it with excellence. And as the leader, the organization goes from being this heavy burden that you carry to being a structure that's a tool in your hand to accomplish your needs. Let me say that again. The organization changes from being a burden on your back as leader to a tool in your hand as leader to accomplish your business needs, your vision, your goals, your desires around your business. So you need to create an organizational chart, even if you don't have everyone. And it's actually best to do this when you don't have everyone. Because I'm going to tell you something. I've been through a number of reorganizations at a number of different companies. And the bigger they are, the harder it is to do it. Reorging people, moving people in and out of positions that they may not be familiar with, that they've been in for years, that's tough work. That's tough work. But if you can do it from scratch, if you can do it from a lower level, a level where we only have 4 or 5 people, and we only, thinking about it objectively, we only need 50 people to make this thing work. Let's plug in each other's names until we get it done. And then we enter Lego time. Building with human bricks means you have already clearly defined the key aspects of each role. What are the key aspects? The what, the why, and the when. Not win as in W-H-E-N, but win as in W-I-N, as we've been speaking about for the entire session. That each role has been clearly defined in those key aspects, and that you have a vision. You may even want to have a vision around the evolution of the role. Where can they take that role to next? Also, you've attacked the org chart of imagination. It don't exactly look like an Optimus Prime, but you need to use your imagination. We have 1,500 bubbles to fill out and we only have 6 people. Let's do it. You have to put names in those roles, okay? And there's going to be a lot of overlap sometimes. If what you see in your mind as a leader requires you to have a huge organization and a huge team, identify those early on. Identify them early on. And now that you start to put people, bubbles, names in those bubbles and people in those places, you begin to play Lego. That's why I named this slide Lego time, because those guys are built with bricks and you can stack them on top of each other and so on and so forth. It's Lego time. You've gotten your organization. You're passionate, man. You've done everything right. You're passionate. You have an empowering leadership style. You're building a great team. And that team can be productive. And if you have a team that's not productive, you're going to clarify the what, the why, and the when. You're going to make sure that the teams are in an environment that's conducive to helping them hit the goal. You're going to make sure the environment is an environment that motivates them and gives them enjoyment. You're going to make sure you provide reward for those people who win. You're going to create this org chart. You're going to make sure everybody's in their proper place. You're building with human bricks. You're building something that will last you, that will be productive. Now, what are our next steps? The next thing you need to do. And I put this in an if-then statement because it's kind of an if-then thing. It proves out the theory a bit more. It gives you action steps on top of this theory, not just for Papa John's and org charts and my experiences with these huge companies and even smaller companies. It's an if-then statement because I want you to prove it out. If passionate, empowering leadership builds great teams, then 6 things. You need to check your passion level. You need to increase your passion level, or you need to reduce it. What's best for your team? Remember, I told you, you don't want to be doped up on passion. That's bad. Then you're just going to want to clean up like the Ninja Turtles did. No, you're going to want to be very wide-eyed about passion, but wide-eyed and focused on your goal. You want to be an excellent example. You want to run the department. You want to do the task with the utmost level of excellence that you can produce, and then pass that task on to the next great leader. And I call them a great leader because you're going to be investing in them. You're going to build what you want. You're not going to just buy what you want. Because when you buy, let me tell you something. When you buy what you want ain't always loyal. And I meant to say ain't. It ain't always loyal. If you can buy it from someone else can buy it from you. If passionate, empowering leadership builds great teams, then you need to clarify the win for your teams so they can hit it out of the park on a consistent basis. You need to withhold rewards from team members who are not accomplishing the tasks in a manner that's consistent with your goals, consistent with your business ideas, consistent with your vision. They're hitting out the park in the wrong direction. They're scoring in the wrong basket. You can't reward that behavior any longer because you want to increase productivity. You want to build a productive team. If passionate, empowering leadership builds great teams, then you need to make sure you're providing coaching to people. You see, a complaint without an opportunity to grow or increase, it's just a complaint. It's not a coaching. Coaching will increase long-term productivity because you're offering mentorship. A mistake without mentorship is just a complaint. A mistake with mentorship is an opportunity for growth. And believe me, with 6 people covering 1,500 buckets, there are going to be a lot of opportunities for growth. And as a leader, you're prepared for that because you know that the organization won't just be this burden on your back. It'll be a tool in your hand. If passionate, empowering leadership builds great teams, then you need to create great environments. Environments that are going to push people to accomplish their goal. Environments that will, if you say do this, they'll be able to do it well. An environment that stimulates the team with challenges and opportunities to grow their skills. Passionate, empowering leadership builds great teams. That is our motto cry, our mantra, our motto, our rally cry for this session. And it is the main and only point you need to remember in order to create a very productive team. Thank you all for joining. Please feel free to provide any questions or comments that you need to in the comment section below.